I wanted to say a thank you to all of you for coming, and especially to the Kellogg Hubbard Library and the Vermont Humanities for supporting Poem City. I'm here on behalf of Samantha Culber, publisher of Rootstock Publishing, and my name is Jennifer Gennari, and I'm really thrilled to be here with all of you. I know that the protest is happening as we speak, and I wanted to remind you that sharing, reading, and writing poetry is an act of resistance. So I welcome you all in that space with that feeling. My goal here is to actually read the introductions of everyone, and then we'll just, if you can remember alphabetically, or I'll give you a little tap on the shoulder. But this way we can be reintroduced or introduced to each other. Effie Zimmett is going first, the author of The Lost Grip, and she is a fine and performing artist and author of a poetry collection and a children's book, Lucy Dancer, which is infused with the charm of a dancer's world. She teaches in central Vermont and travels widely. Kim Ward, author of Fire on the Circle, is a poet, playwright, visual and theater artist, and teacher at Norwich University. She's the founder of the Vermont Playwrights Circle and received her MFA in performance poetry from Goddard College. Her poems have been published in Birch Grove, Green Mountains Review, Circumference, and Vermont Times. Toussaint St. Negritude, author of Mountain Spells, is a former poet laureate of Belfast, Maine, a bass clarinetist, poet, composer, and hat maker extraordinaire. His music and poetry have been widely published and recorded for over 40 years, and this is his first poetry collection. He lives in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. Scudder Parker, author of Safe as Lightning, grew up on a family farm in North Danville, Vermont. He is a Protestant minister, state senator, candidate for governor, consultant on energy efficiency and renewable energy, and now a poet. His first poetry collection was published with us in 2020, and his new collection, The Poem of the World, Poems and Prose, came out in March from Kelsey Books. And Nadine Budbill is here representing her father's work, David Budbill's Judavine. We'll be reading from the new and revised edition of Judavine. Her father, who died in 2016, was a beloved poet and writer for his plain-speaking depiction of the rural people of northern Vermont, where he lived for almost 50 years. So thank you, and let's begin. Effie, come on up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's always a challenge in trying times to acknowledge the trying times and do something positive with the heartbreak. So I have a one-line moniker, which is heartbreak of a survivor. The heartbreak of a survivor. So often the people trying to recover from trauma are inclined or encouraged to put it behind them, and I don't think that's always the right response. So I've been trying to write and acknowledge trauma and all things awkward like this, and move on, integrate them and move on. So with that said, I'll read a few of my poems. So this one's called I Left Those Jars Open. I left those jars open. I didn't clean the knife. Grit glints on the floor, slicing the light, and the quiet rings loud. I stare straight ahead through a sun ray until it moves. And that is my superpower. Here's one from the book that's over there called The Lost Grip, which is like my operating, that's how I operate. I lose my grip a lot. This one's called Tempo. Caches of rubble are the obstacles, so slowly geologically formed. I took them as landmarks, orienting myself in accord but they shift under my feet at a tempo I fail to notice. Okay, some of these are a little more explicit than others with the trauma bit. This one's called Traffic. Butter Curl Highway, slipping light in the distance from my window. I touch the loaded trucks and minivans and cars with trunks, the sight. I lick the freedom, imagining rich destinations. I know, but sometimes pretend I don't. Night falls. Have I not moved? By the window, I steady my breath, shaking in the margin of error, an accidental survivor. The night train strains against the tracks, the sound, the traffic on the highway, the people inside, and my escape. All right, much shorter. I like writing short form poetry as well. So this is a haiku-ish. Won't bother you with the technical terms. Airstrip light flashes on the next mountain over. Slow, steady code. It is traditional to read these short form poems twice, so I'll read it again. Airstrip light flashes on the next mountain over. Slow, steady code. All right, yeah, this one is both more and less explicit. It's called Memory. Quickie flashback. A sharp cut that hurts more later. The accompanying metallic taste lingers briefly. Countdowny aversion to closing my eyes when I feel one coming. Why call it uncanny when that's just so wrong? Because I do know what happened. Let's see. Taproots. The things will grow again. Yeah, it will grow. Knotweed. Y'all know knotweed?
Yes.
Knotweed mingles underground, having its own damn affair, regardless. The zealous gardener sweats and grunts, pulling and digging away, imagining progress. Meanwhile, I too will not obligingly die out. Roots have mingled before I was human, before there were humans, and likely will continue to mingle and multiply everything our species has sought and failed to forbid. Although, would I rather be a taproot, heading for the aquifer and gravity, heading for the sun and air at the same time? I love this for us. Okay. My friend died, and I don't have her ashes, so I scatter my sorrows that they may be born and borne by the wind. It's so sad, it's like the person laughing at their own jokes. All right. Well, it's about a particular friend. All right, and yeah, two more, I think. I have time for two more?
Sure.
They're short. The news, though. Is it arbitrary or devotional? Is there even a filter? Or are we just like, okay, or okay, polka dots, girl, we going out tonight? And solace. Used to be the sand gave me solace, running through my fingers, and the sea running through my eyes. Used to be a word, or a bird I would find, I would rescue. I had a notebook for the words, and a nest in a crate for the birds. And when the wounds healed, I would let them go, the birds, rescued from my cat. And for you, this word, a healed thing. Add one or two, and let them fly off. And that concludes my TED Talk.
She's like, if you remember the order, I'm like, as we don't shift the microphone to attend us. Welcome, thanks for coming today. It's exciting. So I never know what I'm going to read until I hear the person before me, and then I go, oh, I know what I have to read. So just in the tradition of the Taproot poem that you just read, this is called Solitary. My single body will not multiply. It will die, crumble, feed the roots under which it sleeps, but perhaps a century later, I'll return as the owl or the starfish, become the solitary note sung in the dark, the glorias sung in the rafters of some distant colony on the moon, or out of some undersea house, climb the shore to my long dead garden and plant myself in the fresh soil, one blessed seed to continue on the wings. Oh, and even as you were reading about trauma, I thought of all the poems in this book about trauma. So this is called Even Now. The memory of the razor tucked into the gutter of that magazine and placed on the table in that grubby laundromat reminds me of the moment, age 8, when I first learned words can cut. Just do one more and then turn the corner to something happier maybe. But this is called Remote Control. Is controlling yourself from a distance, listening to his calloused hands rake your young breasts as if he were the train car and you the rabbit. His passing slicing you in two, leaving innocence on one side and you on the other, while from on high you watch the iron stars strike the ground and think about a time when you trusted. So when I was at Goddard, a big part of my thesis was working on this play called Angel in the Fire, which has been partially staged and partially not. And so I've also pulled a lot of those poems just to be poems on their own. It's just like a series of monologues of 3 women in Vermont. So this is called Hurricane in Vermont, and it's after a story my mother told me. After the hurricane, we went out to help our neighbors. In the dawn, the moon was just a sliver, sharp and small. The cows beneath the collapsed barn called out like an anguished village and were silenced with each successive blow from Daddy's shotgun. I'm turning the corner very quickly. And this is the title poem from the play. It's part of a monologue, Angel in the Fire. I am the girl you brought through the fire. I am the singing angel in the furnace, the voice of the hunting owl as she kills her prey. In the beginning, I was the silent face, all questing eyes and limbs, my early body ready to fling this world off. You are mother of mothers, voices of the ages, soothsayer to the aged. Your life stretches to the top place of crones become infants, and daughter become keeper. In the stone of your hearth beat the hearts of tree frogs and the wings of youth, while I return to the girl in the tree, the one who lost her voice winter after winter, as if the gods were stealing her angel's fire, so that I would start up in bed, fever shaking the voice out of me, while out in the hall was warm light and the sound of your deep song drifting. This is the closest I have to a haiku in here. I was doing these kind of renga pieces that the women would braid in and out of each other, and this is called Harvest Time. Red moon this morning. I am walking barefoot in puddles and find the hogs have been killed uphill. Fever. When you caught the fever, it wasn't the doctor who told your mother what to do. It was the whiskey and water to break the fever, the burning of the body brought down by liquid fire. We brought you through like a horse brought through a burning barn, while down in the yard, drifting up to us through the cold frost, came the sound of your grandfather praying. In honor of spring, which will come. I read this title to a book by this amazing poet, Mark Vincennes, and it was called Becoming the Sound of Bees. And then when I read the poem, that line didn't exist anywhere in the book didn't have that line, and I thought, I gotta write what this is. Becoming the sound of bees is not as easy as you would think. First, take a cup of despondency and fold in with a pocket full of compasses made of afternoon light and late summer pollen. With just a pinch of sky, sprinkle some loyalty to a singular woman on top, add a penchant for following the crowd, stir in a saucepan on low heat, the kind of warmth that comes from late August sun at Lunasa. Once it all comes to temperature, simmer and wait for the sound to come. When it does, dive in head first and hum. I'm torn. Okay, so in honor of the protest today, this is called Eating at the Chinese Buffet. I am cognizant of 4 things. 1, the General Tso's chicken is sweet, not spicy as it should be. 2, I love the crab rangoons, not despite of it, but because their pillowy deep fried cheese was invented just for us Americans. 3, I'm probably complicit in human trafficking just as I was as a teen when I'd buy those juicy cherry tomatoes from my friend's family farm, though I didn't know it until the day I stumbled into the farmhand's house, into a dim room with migrants sleeping wall to wall like cordwood, so that 4, I can take no pleasure in those August jewels as I pop them in my mouth. They're bursting on my tongue, no longer a manna up from the gods, but now more a burst of blood vessels, much too salty on my tongue. And I'm just going to read quickly the poem that is in the lovely anthology for Poem City, the cover which has this beautiful Enzo on it that my friend Monica painted. So, and I know we don't have a collection of them, but out at the circulation desk you can pick one up. This is called Empathy's Crown. Where do we authorize the sheep for their new brains? Can they skip and climb this murmurous U.S. terrain, but don't understand the risks? Why can't they read the fine print at the bottom of these cliffs? See the tattered flag? The empty husks of once held trust? And how can I find a border collie to herd them east and down to the green valley below where empathy holds her crown? Thanks.
Two songs here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was sitting there hoping someone would let me know.
Yes, exactly.
Or you might have just been totally passed over.
Which would be fine.
No.
Okay, thank you so much, Rootstock Publishing for organizing this, and the library for presenting it, and for all of us for coming out. I'm going to read just a couple recent poems I've written over the last few weeks, and then poems from my book, The Mountain Spells. And I do recommend getting the anthology, which is at the front desk there. Such a great anthology, and I'm so glad that Samantha published this. It's such a great asset, I think, for all of the poets that are in this. Wonderful. Okay, this poem I'm going to do is the poem that's in this anthology, that is in the window of Hepcat, new jazz bar down the street. I really love that place, even though I think it has a maximum seating of like 6. But I've been there, and it's been kind of nice. It's kind of nice for like 6 to be crowded. Brings out the intimacy of it. And he has such a great collection of music. So this is the poem called Rocking Herd. Peace is not passive. Peace is a verb, an action, led by being in person, out front, and in good faith. Peace is not passive. Peace is a verb. Peace is not a performative Tuesday nor Saturday. Peace is a mandatory realization, emboldening the right-of-way of every which way we need to go. Peace is not passive. Peace is a verb, rocking life and rocking herd. And then this poem, I meant to bring it in. This is a poem that I recently had a wonderful opportunity. I did a collaboration with a printmaker at this wonderful new print shop in West Danville, right on Route 2 there, called Hard Pressed. And a lot of the people involved are from the Bread and Puppet printing function. And so really wonderful. And I did a collaboration with E-Rock, who did the cover of my book. He's just a fantastic artist. And he did a graphic on which my poem was hand printed onto that graphic. I have copies in my car, and I'm sorry, I just forgot to grab them. But this poem is called Never Turn Your Back on Humanity. And I'll just say here, just inspiration for this poem. So I grew up, lived 50 years of my life until I moved east in San Francisco and Northern California. And so I grew up spending a lot of time on the beach or near it, being associated with the beach and every aspect of it. And one of the things when visiting anywhere along the Pacific, Northern California, and further north is you'll see signs that tsunami warning and signs that tell you, you know, tsunamis can happen. Please don't ever turn your back to the ocean, which I think is such a great metaphor for where we are now. And I just had this image. I often get so many of my poems in like that first 30 seconds of like waking up, like da 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 poem, and I have like exactly 30 seconds to write it down. And I had this image, this kind of written and visual image of the power of the ocean, tremendous power of the ocean, how the ocean can move things that are otherwise considered immovable. And what an incredible power that is. And I had this image of humanity as an ocean, or the ocean of humanity, and how it might be a good idea for dictators to never turn their back on humanity. So this, yeah. In ways encompassing orders far above you, it's always been infinitely so much more than you, autonomously existing and thriving in ways completely independent of you, always flowing and shaping and sustaining irregardless of you, swirling in leaps and bounds before and after you. Beware the tides of all our freedoms due. Never neglect to abide by the toll of all these oceans now facing you. I sent a copy of that to the president. No, I did not, but I would like to. And this is one I just wrote yesterday that's a little sharp. It's not my intent to be at all offensive or scolding, but I hope it will be provoking to those who need to hear this. It's called To the Goons in Ally Clothing. While Bozo televises the establishment of Salvadorian concentration camps, explicitly designated for the removal of homegrown freedoms, you're stirring lattes, talking about, well, let's wait and see. Then, as he starts snatching your neighbors, you still keep talking about, well, let's just wait and see. So, here's an intriguing question. Exactly how much more do you need to see? Tell me, I'd love to know. How much more do you need to see? And if you do need to see more annihilation of our humanity, then whose side are you on? I know questions can be challenging, so allow me to repeat. If you actually need to see more annihilation of our humanity, then whose side are you on? I know. The fragility of complicity can just ruin a morning latte. It has really, it's really been hard for me to witness such complacency in front of the lives of all of us who are disappearing. Time for one more poem? Okay. So I'll read a poem from my book here, on hopefully a more hopeful note. Although I have to say, in a separation of painful poems, happy poems, I really don't make a distinction. I really think that all love is necessary, even tough love. This poem is called Wings, Joys, Truths, and Innermost Meanings. Live from your own heart of hearts, here's today's forecast. Calling for gale force harmonies. Calling for showers of impromptu calming. Calling for untold gusts of unauthorized affirmations. With winds of free-thinking epiphanies, reaching truth-scale speeds of up to 1 billion renegade lifetimes per happiness. Calling for elevations higher than age-old fears. Calling for all those with blues to breathe, to raise our wings, raise our joys, truths, and innermost means, and dig this gorgeous right to simply resound and gleam. Calling for all unknown scales of peace to blow in at such a pace, even you might just feel the breeze and believe.
Thank you, Tucson. And thanks to all the readers. I grew up in a family that counted itself Christian and tried to behave that way some of the time. And this poem I decided to read today, it's a longer poem that was in Safe as Lightning. And I haven't read it out, I don't think. And then my wife pointed out to me that it is my Easter Sunday poem. So this is called Early Memories of Jesus. Remember how we wished, before we became embarrassed by the wish, that our parents would search harder for words to tell their wonder in us, noticing every detail, touching our hair, our cheek, making brilliant guesses opening doors of confidence, released from their bruising clumsiness. How could they spend so much time backstage getting ready, twisting sweaty palms together, rehearsing someone else's wisdom as we slipped away from them? Year after year, the boulders grew unmentioned in the kitchen, a kind of eternity accumulating in them. 2, despite my parents' confidence in God's good intentions, I never believed that Jesus was overcome by charity when he relinquished that inheritance where the sheep stay forever painted on the hills. I suspected he couldn't wait to get away. After eons of wheedling, he finally got to God by calling it a sacrifice. And God, who suspected what was really happening and knew that he had failed, pressed some folding money in his hand as he was leaving. Though I never spoke his name, he was the friend who daydreamed with me through all the early lectures and woke up for the field trips, thrilled if the teacher's shoes got muddy. He could find wild ginger under leaves bleached and frailed by winter, blue cohosh uncurling fingers the color of evening in a maple woods. We found and ate wild onions, green flags, red bulbs flecked with loam so spring could infect our breath. When we heard my father calling, he urged me to keep to the wildness of our hiding places. The cave under spruce boughs, arching down to moss in the high pasture, a bracken forest, where a foot above our heads sun collected like honey and dripped down to us. His vigilance was wonderful. Whenever he felt the dark shapes of caution clumping in me, he tackled and wrestled me to earth, wild with impatience. He held me struggling until my stomach cramped with laughter. Again and again, we tried the loudness of our voices and listened to our voices coming back to us across the valley. He never talked about the crucifixion, and I never asked. It seemed to be someone else's story, something the people wanted and the reporters put together. The details could not have come from him. It was as though the promises he made to get away finally caught up with him. Without the story, he was invisible, no safer or less safe than any of us, just another bright but troubled child. Now we are both older. I try to stay in touch with him, see as much around me as I can. He has a small place on the edge of town. I visited the other day. We walked together in the woods. He said there's more light from the east since they cut the virgin hemlock stand and used the clearing to stockpile gravel. They were rebuilding the highway to make it straight and wide. We pulled wild onions to add to our supper soup. Each year, he said, the night sky lightens from another building and the stars retreat a little. Even though the field of balsam where he lives is on its way back to forest and has grown beyond the threat of Christmases. I asked if he had heard from God. He said he hadn't and still missed him, but he understood how easy it is to get preoccupied. As we talked, the moon, the somewhat predictable temporary moon that tugs twice every day at our bodies, rose like a fragile egg in the denim sky. How are we doing? One more? This is, so sticking with the religion and minister stuff, you just got to keep dealing with it, right? This is called Good Work for the Preacher. And this was when I was in a men's group, and we were It was a gay, straight men's group, and we were in the time of AIDS. It's a practice in humility to come to a small church in a poor state where resources for pretense are scant. Need wears thin clothes. Pride does for hope. Theology is less important than good chicken pie. You learn to love the details, not the answers. Trust your ears and heart. Kindnesses and the embarrassment they cause in other men, gaining knowledge that could give control, choosing not to use it again and again. You eat ordinary food till it becomes the food you crave. Stay till they no longer ask if you'll be leaving soon. I remember a funeral performed for a man I never knew on a hilltop in Waterford. An urn, a sunny afternoon, a family in its silences. Mid-service, I realized he died of AIDS. The brother who'd left for San Francisco, gone for years, home to be buried in his family's fears. I was invited to a 40th birthday party for a friend. Cross-dressing was required. I wore a kilt, black tights, bean boots, danced like David till the end. His cousin read a poem about growing up gay in Plainfield. His mother complimented on her dress, bragged she'd stolen it from her son. I danced in the space we'd begun to claim, and as welcome for the high school friend who loved me, but had no name to give his love. I danced for all the dead, the stories carried to the grave. I danced for those who watch in waiting still, for the quietly subversive, the outrageously brave.
So exciting to be here with this book that just came out technically on Tuesday, this new and revised edition of my father's iconic book, Judavine. And this edition has a subtitle which the previous books did not, which is A Love Song for a Place and Its People, which felt really like the subtitle that needed to be with this book. So I'm going to just read 3 poems from this beautiful book. And my father got really known for his very short, concise poetry in the last 25 years, maybe. And Judavine is not that. These are long prose sort of poems. So, and I have not read Judavine nearly as much publicly as I have from his other work. So, bear with me. So this first one is called Anson. Anson was born on the place next door, half a mile away. About 10 years ago, the university took part of the Boynton place for taxes. The university, by the way, has been delinquent on the taxes ever since. Not long after that, the Boyntons sold out, but Anson came back a few years ago with a French wife and 2 sons to farm his home. He rented from the owner, a chiropractor in California. Anson sold out last spring. The bank wouldn't loan him money for machinery because he didn't own the place and because the chiropractor wouldn't give him a long-term lease. Anson's gone, kicked off the place he was born on by somebody he never met. They were good neighbors. My boy and their boys played together, rode their bikes up and down the road, built forts in the woods, fished for trout in the brook, gave each other courage to make it through a day at school. Anson spread shit on our garden free of charge, helped me draw my wood, used to take all 3 boys on a sleigh behind his snow machine. Marie took the boys to Morseville to the movies. She was pretty and alive. It was fun to watch her move across a room. We never visited all that much, but they were good neighbors. Anson busted his ass over there. It was his home, even if he did have to rent it. He busted his ass, and for nothing. Everybody says the Boynton place is jinxed, says nobody can make a go of it over there. Anson could have if he'd had a break. Every summer, Anson had a window box of flowers near the milk house door, and every morning after chores, he watered them, and then, with the thumb and forefinger of his calloused hand, he gently, gently plucked the dying blossoms. As I was saying, last May on a Saturday, Anson and Marie sold out. It was a nice day. Anson's prayers were answered. He asked God not to let it rain. As the sun came up, Norman Pelletier, the auctioneer, drove down Route 15 and up over the hill to hear, and told Marie to have an hour's worth of junk to get the people started. By 10 o'clock, trucks lined both sides of the road, from their house half a mile to ours, and that far the other way too. It was a farmer's auction, too early in the year for summer people hunting antiques. There weren't any antiques anyway. Marie moved around the crowd, forcing a smile and waving like a maitre d' serving up her life. There was soda and hot dogs and kids running around screaming, excited by the crowd. Edith cried, so did Marie. Anson wanted to, but didn't. The farmer stood around and bid, raising a hand quietly, nodding a head. But there weren't any jokes. They knew they were playing bit parts in a movie about their own deaths. At the end of the day, Anson had taken in $37,000 and all that in just machinery and stock. Everybody said he'd done real good, but it wasn't enough. Anson's working as a mechanic in Burlington now. He makes $110 a week for his family of 4. They got a trailer in a trailer park. We saw them a couple of months ago. They said they missed it up here on the hill. This one is called Need, Necessity, Delight, or A Washing Machine for a Flower Pot. Every summer morning at 15 minutes to 7, Jerry descends the stairs from his apartment above the garage, unlocks the store, turns off the nighttime lights, turns on the gas pumps and the air compressor, then moves to the lunchroom, plugs in the coffee pot, and, while he waits for his morning coffee, he goes outside and wheels an ancient washing machine, the kind that is a tub on legs, the legs on casters, the wringer and the agitator long since gone, away from the side of the building and out to one end of the gas pumps. The washing machine is full of dirt, and in the dirt grow giant orange and yellow marigolds. He pinches off what blossoms may be dying, any withered leaves, does the necessary weeding, and then, if they need it, waters them with the battered galvanized can he uses to fill radiators. In Jerry's old washing machine, metaphor to flower pot, I see the whole history of what I know of human art and thought. Thales and Anaximander thinking, trying to find that one thing out of which all else comes. Pythagoras, slowly, or kablam, as in Archimedes in the tub, when he discovers a universal truth about certain kinds of triangles. Anselm and Abelard as they debate the function of our words. Hegel and the process of our thought, or Einstein, fingers to his lower lip, dreaming on the nature of space and time and energy. Is it ridiculous to compare Jerry's flower pot to Einstein or Hegel, Abelard or Pythagoras? They all took the old, the given, the known, and found in it something new, that satisfying, exciting, delightful leap of human sense and mind from known to unknown. Whether it is a washing machine for a flower pot, or a pickup truck transmogrified to a specific need, it is the making of a metaphor, a bridge, that leap from known to unknown. To see the thing not for what it is or thought to be, but for what it could be, because you must, and must because you are driven to delight by necessity, by need, is imagination. Some people look at Judavine and see only decay, because they don't remember necessity or need. The words are lost somewhere inside them, pickled in the sauce of affluence, atrophied by the tenure of security. They don't remember that the decay they see is need, and need is the ground in which necessity gives birth birth to the imagination. When necessity gets pickled, her child packs up and leaves, goes someplace else where she can find her mother. Judavine is such a place. Imagination lives here because her mama lives here too. In the midst of what some think is squalor, necessity and the imagination yield delight, like Roy's truck and shop, or Jerry's flower pot. These metaphors for the eternal elemental searching of the human soul, and they bloom because this ground is rich with need. And the last one is called Driving Home at Night. Midnight. Outside the car, it is 15 below, a foot of new snow. The village is deserted, dark, except for 8 street lamps at the light in the window at Jerry's garage that says, beer. The smell of wood smoke seeps into the car. Judavine, ugliest town in northern Vermont, except maybe East Judavine. Disheveled, wretched Judavine, my town, is beautiful in the night. It is beautiful because its couple hundred souls have given up their fears, their poverty and worry. For a few hours now, they know only the oblivion of sleep, and the town lies quiet in their ease. Thank you. I just wanted to share that on May 15th at Lost Nation Theater, we're having a book release party for this book in collaboration with Abby Page, who's a playwright and an actor who has been in Judavine many times. And she has a book of plays that has just come out called Piecework, about the Franco-American experience, bilingual book. Beautiful book. Yeah, there's flyers back there for that event, so you can take one so you don't have to remember May 15th. Free event over there. Some of the most beloved Judavine actors will be there reading and doing a much better job than I do reading from this book. And so it'll be a great event. So please come. Thanks. Yeah, everybody.